Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This interview today, right now, is with Steve Masiello from Compass International Advisors. We're really excited to have him here. He has an incredible track record, has raised over $40 billion in capital. And he's going to share some of those insights with us today into how he's done that in his career and, a little bit about today's times and what to do the right way. Given the different circumstances that we face today. So, Steve, thanks for being here with us today.
Sure. Happy to be here. Thanks, Andres.
Steve, so I'll just start off asking a little bit on your background and what led to $40 billion in raised capital and to Compass International Advisor success.
Some gray hairs and a few scars over the years. That's how you get it. So in my career, I've been in the capital raising, institutional capital, both on the traditional and on the alternative side. Early in my career, was at a startup where we went from 0 to 2 billion in a couple of years and had a great run, literally right out of college. And then at another institutional public security, large cap growth and value firm in Boston that we grew from, when I got there, it was about $500 million, grew it to about 5 billion, and then sold it. And then went into the alternative space about 15 years ago. And we've done everything up and down the capital structure, from venture to growth equity to buyout to credit, infrastructure, real estate. And, that 40 billion is not all me. If it was, I'd probably be on an island somewhere. But that's from the collective raise that we've done for our clients, and have had some terrific GPs, Oaktree, a couple deals with Howard Marks. We took Jeff Gunlack when he came out of TCW to help him start Double Line. Years ago, we raised the largest debut credit fund, a mezz fund ever. So we've been fortunate to work with great GPs and high quality firms. We've also raised capital for individual companies. So where Compass is based in Boston, office in New York, and a few of them around the country, quite frankly, we cover North America with our team internal, and then we partner with other placement agents around the globe to scale up or down for various raises, either for individual companies or for large plans and funds.
Excellent. And how big is the Compass International team now?
So our internal team is about 9, but around the globe, we have over 60 folks that we work with. So we can cover every geographic area, every marketplace in the world.
And $40 billion in capital. You said you have been very lucky to be around and to have great GPs. So my question is, how much, at least let's say within the past 5 to 10 years, was new capital versus capital that came in from existing clients and partners that you've already had, over the course of many decades?
Great question. So we do have some very long-standing relationships with our clients. Our real estate fund that we work with, we've been working with them for 15, 16 years now. Most of our assignments, quite frankly, are for 1 or 2 funds. We kind of raise the capital and then they don't need us anymore. We kind of move on to different deals. So a lot of our clients are, new over the last 3 years.
Great. A lot of your clients are new over the past 3 years. So on top of having a track record, longevity, what do you think allows your team to successfully onboard new clients in the past 3 years?
Yeah, good question. So we've won a couple of very large mandates, interviewed literally 38 placement agents around the world, narrowed it down to 15. I've never had an RFP before, but we had a very extensive RFP process and interviews for, several months. We were able to win that, over a lot of other larger, quite frankly, firms. And we were told it was specific to an asset class that we actually kind of do very well in, but also our team is built a little bit differently. We have very senior professionals who have an average about 26, 27 years in the business. We don't really have, so we're able to overcome objections on phones. We all have great educational backgrounds and have been in this business a while. So that tends to lead to higher success rate for our GP. So that senior team was a big differentiator.
Got it. Having that senior team, people with experience, the RFPs, and when it comes to seeking the right placement agents, how do you guys go about doing that?
Yeah. So again, as good as we think we are, we're only as good as the GP we're representing. So we looked at 189 deals last year. We took 2. So we're super picky on who we work with. And that's on the fund side. We did take on a few more than that on direct deal side. So individual companies that needed a raise. So we're super picky on who we work with and make sure that after talking to a lot of our LPs and folks in the market, what they're looking for, that, on a macro level, I do a lot of kind of macro thinking on what the market looks like, who is in favor, and really just listening for the feedback from our clients to say, gee, Steve, we need infrastructure this year, or we need something in credit. And then we do some outreach. We get a lot of inbound calls, but when we're really looking for a specific asset class, we'll do outreach. And we got some good ink. I founded Compass 4 years ago. The first 3 years, we were Preqin top 25 global placement agent. So that put us, on the map immediately and got us some good press. But also, I don't know what 2020, I'm not sure they're ranking them just because it was an off year for everybody. We haven't seen those results yet, but that's helped us a lot.
And would you say that, kind of speaking about that good press, is that something that you and your team actively seek, or is it something that just kind of comes about from being good at what you do?
Yeah, we avoid the press, to be quite honest. So we're asked to do interviews and other things. We have one of my partners was on CNBC in his prior life at another firm. Kind of shy away from that. If I think folks get to know us based on our reputation, and thank goodness, knock on wood, we've never really had to advertise for who we are.
And how about things like events, conferences, summits? Right. Is that something that you and your team utilize in order to expand the network, or is it just strictly, working the current relationships and hoping to get some introductions?
Yeah, Andres, aside from, I was fortunate to speak at your conference in New York a few years ago. I really enjoyed that experience. I do get a lot of offers to speak and go to conferences. A few guys on our team do. I usually don't, but this has always been a great resource for our firm as well. Met a lot of great folks through your organization, so we appreciate that as well. So it is part of our outreach, not a huge part, and through COVID, we've really haven't done a lot of travel at all.
Great, and I definitely want to touch up on the topic of COVID and what's changed for your firm, but I do want to backtrack a little bit and kind of talk to the audience members right now that haven't been in the business that long, hope to eventually have a track record and a success rate like Compass International and yourself. What would you do if you were starting, year 1 or year 2 to get to the results that you have today?
That's a great question, and one that I would probably try and get experience at a good firm, where you get good work habits, you're trained the right way, you learn the business. It may not be a glamorous start, but doing some of the basics. We have a great internship program where a lot of our interns go from working with us in college to actually being employed with us. And, right now we kind of climb up the ladder from, some admin and learning the business to selling or going on some side of our operation. So I suggest that for everybody. It's hard to learn on your own. I learned from some of the best and some of my best friends even today that I learned when I got out of college from. So I was very fortunate that way.
And someone, let's say they do then decide to start at a firm, when would they transition and really start to kind of expand on their own?
Yeah, I think that's an individual thing. It takes a lot as kind of a serial entrepreneur. It takes a lot to go to that edge of the building and jump. And I think that's something you either have in your gut or you don't, and you'll know when you're ready. For me, it was my late 30s, mid to late 30s that I started my first firm.
Got it. And was that a scary jump?
Three young kids. I just built a new house, and I was a senior partner at a firm that was, doing extremely well. So, yes. But when you have the faith in yourself and you know the business, when I look back, to me, the fear was staying.
Yeah, absolutely. Great insight. Thank you. So let's move on to the topic of the pandemic and kind of how that's changed things. Did that change a lot of things for you last year? Since, maybe you guys don't attend that many events, and obviously COVID definitely restricted more travel. Was it a change in the work environment for you and your team?
100%. So we had a couple of GPs. We're ready for first close. We were in the market with them for about a year. It was a large first close, and we were planning for March 15th. COVID hit. We had to, literally get off the road and stop marketing. They ended up it was a very large, well-known group of individuals from Wall Street in Washington. We got off the road. They stopped fundraising, and they actually raised a SPAC. So, we had to pivot in our business from really being, a lot of what we're doing is outreach, and we're on the road a lot, and to not have the ability to travel. And if everybody remembers, it wasn't that long ago, but there was complete panic and pandemonium in the market. The equity markets were tanking. Private equity had dried up. We weren't sure what people were going to pay for a deal. So it was a scary time for sure, and even for our firm, but we pivoted. We did more direct deals. For those 3 or 4 months, March, April, May, there were still companies that needed to be sold, and we finished that process with a few of the firms. And, that one client, large client that did the SPAC, we replaced with $1 trillion, insurance company. So we were very fortunate to, we feel, upgrade tremendously.
And you pivoted more towards direct deals. Were there any particular industries or asset classes that you thought were better due to the market changes?
Right. There were a few that we thought were better than market changes, but the market didn't always agree with us. So, a few folks still wanted to sell their company through that out of fear. If they waited a few more months, I think they could have gotten a better multiple. But, they took the risk off the table for them. And I think that was a healthy decision from where they were as a family. Healthcare continues to be strong. Some manufacturing continues to be strong in certain pockets for sure. And technology continues to roar.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in terms of setting the meetings, in this world, people love that face-to-face interaction, that being more limited. What was the strategy behind making those meetings happen?
Well, this is one of them, right? I think I would have been at your conference, you're giving this speech, but we can do it on Zoom. We do, in the US, it's okay. What we found in the market was that many of the, the numbers are way down. Even some of the larger funds, their assets that they thought they were going to garner just aren't there. So we are doing a lot of Zoom. We do have a client, a GP, one of the best funds in Europe for equity, that it's a little bit different in the US because they really can't travel there. And it's a lot of first, I guess I'll say it this way. It's a lot easier to re-up right now for a client in a fund they've already been with. And a lot of folks are doing that. If you're going to find another fund, it's probably somewhere in the US that you can diligence easily, whether through Zoom or other folks But traveling to Europe, a lot of folks feel like an on-site is important and necessary, is just out of the question. We actually stopped fundraising for them for a little while. But in the US, listen, people have to allocate after that initial fear of COVID in the first 3 months of this happening. People realize that this is a very interesting way to do business, and one that means less travel and less travel and expenses.
And yeah, absolutely. Less travel, less expenses, opportunity to do more meetings.
Right.
It's an opportunity to, fly less, be with your family and your loved ones more. And I think that at first, a lot of people were a little nervous of that. And then they kind of realized like, okay, this is maybe a little nicer than being on a flight every single week,
New way of doing business. And I think this is going to stick for most. Even some of my best clients are saying, We used to meet quarterly. Now they're saying maybe once a year for an annual meeting when this is over.
So, and that brings me kind of to my next question. You know, obviously, like you said, it's many of these changes will probably be permanent. What do you anticipate for this year?
So, you know, we're off to a really good start for a couple of our clients in fundraising. So, you know, we're getting deals done without meetings. We're doing a lot of this. We do have some scheduled. People feel that sometime later, it's, you know, later in the first half of this year, that they'll be able to at least travel and meet some people. But if not, they have capital that they need to deploy and commit to. So we have some good options for them for that.
Got it. In terms of sticking on the route of focusing more on direct deals right now for this year?
Yeah. So I would have to say that 2020 was definitely that way. 2021, it will not be. You know, we have a couple very large multi-billion-dollar fundraisers that we kicked off and have some great exposure to, you know, some clarity on first close and some big LPs that are looking to invest. So I think those numbers will come in significantly higher than 2020.
Excellent. Well, that gets us to that 15-minute mark for this flash interview for Capital Con. Steve, is there any final words you want to say, or?
Yeah, listen, I'm happy to be a resource to your organization, to any of your participants. That, you know, I don't know if you want to give them my contact information or how you do that, but I'm happy to answer any questions and help, you know, anybody out around who's part of your organization.
Yeah, absolutely. Our audience members, you know, they're going to be watching this on Wova. It's a very interactive software, so they'll have access to that. They can reach out to us and ask for your contact details. So not a problem at all. And thank you for being open to communicating with our audience. Steve, thank you again.
Yeah, thanks. Nice to meet you.
And successful rest of your year.
Thanks
and
so much.
We hope to see you back on an event soon.